Hello everyone, my name is Kumar and welcome back to our channel KUMAR Programming. This is the 30th part of the series where we are building an e-commerce project as online shoe store in Next.js 15 and React 19. In our today's session, we are going to build our order page where we are going to bind our data from order table which we have stored in our previous session in order and order item table by using server action. Now let me quickly show you in our production environment how our order page will look like. So this is our production environment where we have added few items inside our cart. Now proceed to checkout. And now we redirect it to the shipping address page, continue. And here we have payment method. We can change the payment method from here, but let's go ahead with the PayPal, continue. And this is the place order page which we have built in our previous session where we have displayed our shipping address, payment method and order item details. And user is having option to edit their shipping address and their payment method as well. And at the right side, we are showing list of all the prices like items price, tax price, shipping price and total price. And here we have client form as place order button where user can place their order. And once user will place their order, the order details are going to be stored inside our order and order item table and will redirect to the order page. Now let's place our order. So see now it's redirected to the order page along with the newly generated order ID, right? And here we are showing our order ID and here we are showing our payment method and here we are showing status of the payment, whether it is paid or not in our badge. And here we are showing our shipping address and also in the badges here we are showing the delivery status here, whether it is delivered or not. And here we are showing list of all the items, right? And at the right side, here we are seeing all the price along with the payment option selected by the user for their preferred method. And all these details are going to be fetched from our order table where we have created our order, right? So in our today's session, we are going to build this order page. And in order to create this order page, first of all, we need all these information from our order table. So first of all, we will create a server action to fetch all these order details. All right. So now let's start. So here in our application, first of all, we will create a server action in order to get our order detail. So let's go to our server action inside our lib folder, actions, and here we have order action, right? Now inside order action, this is our create order server action. Now we are going to create another server action in order to get our order by ID. So here get order by ID, right? And here we'll create our function as export async function get order by ID, right? And inside this parameter, we are going to pass as order ID and type would be string, right? And inside this function, we will execute our Prisma query. So here const data equal to await Prisma dot order dot find first, right? Because we are trying to fetch the order by ID, right? So we would be having only one order for a specific ID, right? So find first, and inside this find first function, we are going to pass our condition. So the first condition would be where clause, where we are going to pass our ID as order ID, okay? And what we are going to include in this find first, we need include, and we are going to include order items, simply make it true, okay? And also we need the user detail. So here user, and we want only user name and email, right? So here we can select only user, select only user name and email, okay? So here name true and email true. So it's going to fetch only username and email and all the order items, right? And now here we are going to return our data, and this data would be type of Prisma object. So we need to convert into a plain object. So we have already function created inside our utility as convert to plain object. So we are going to use that here, convert to plain object, and we are going to wrap this our data inside this convert to plain object function, okay? Now let's save it. So now our get order by ID server action is ready, where we are passing our order ID and we are fetching the data from our order table. All right. Now further we are, what error we are getting over here? Let's see. This transaction, parameter transaction implicitly has an any type. Okay. Okay, let's give type any for the time being and disable our linting over here. Okay. Yep. Now save it. So now we have ready our get order by ID function. And now further we are going to create our order page where we are going to load our all the order details by using this get order by ID functions. Okay. Now let's create our order detail page. Here inside our root folder, we are going to create another folder here as order. Since we are going to pass order ID dynamically, so we need to create a dynamic route. So in order to create our dynamic route, we will create another folder here and square bracket ID, right? So this would be a dynamic route order slash ID, right? So now inside this ID, we are going to create another page as page.tsx, right? So this page would be our dynamic route for this order. Okay. Now here sfc order details page, and here inside this return, simply we are going to return as of now order details, right? Now we will copy few things from our product. Here we have our dynamic page product slug, right? So from here we are going to copy few things. We need this parameter, right? So we'll copy this here and we are going to pass this parameter. Okay, and here we would be having ID. This would be ID, right? Here in Next.js 15 we are returning any parameters as a promise, right? So in order to get that parameter we have to use our await. Okay, and here we are having our ID. So simply what we will do here, we will just render our ID over here, and also we need to add our metadata. So here we will add our metadata as export const metadata, type of metadata, where we are going to pass our title as order details. Okay, and this metadata needs to be imported from our next. All right, and here we will fetch our order detail. So here const order equal to await get order by ID, right, which we have created, and inside this we are going to pass this order ID. So this is our order ID, we are going to pass it inside this function. Okay, and here we will be having our order, and here we check if our order is undefined, then we are going to call our not found page. Okay, and here we will render our order dot total price. Okay, since we have total price inside our order, so in order to just test that, here we are rendering our order ID and order total price. Okay, now let's quickly see that in our local environment if it's working so far. So here inside our browser we have added couple of items over here inside our cart. Now let's proceed to checkout. Now it's redirected to the shipping address page. Now click on continue, and now we are on payment method. Now click on continue. Now we should be redirected to our place order page. Right, now we are on place order page, and here friends, in our previous session we were having issues with this button, so I used use transition hook in order to implement our spinner over here, and that's working. Now let's click on the place order button. Now see our this spinner is working now. Perfect. Now if you see here, it's redirected to the order page along with this order ID, and we are able to see this order ID over here, right? And here we are seeing the total price 153.98. All right, so we are able to fetch our order detail as well as our order ID, which we are getting inside our browser parameters. Okay, now further we are going to build our this order detail page. Now let's go back to our code. Now here, before further building our order detail page, I would like to create couple of utility functions such as format ID and format date time, which is going to shorten our UUID up to 6 characters, and we are going to format our date time, right? So now let's quickly go to our util.ts file, here util.ts, and inside this utility we are going to create one more utility function over here as export function format id, and inside this function we are going to pass id, which would be type of string, and from this function we are going to return inside our template literal. I'm going to use my dollar sign and curly bracket, and inside this I'm going to use function substring on top of id because id is a string, right? So we would be having our substring function on top of it, and inside this we are going to pass our id dot length minus 6. So it's going to return 6 character from our order ID, right? Last 6 characters. And this is something to sort UUID, okay? And the next function which we are going to create as format date time. So this function is very simple, but it's quite lengthy. So I'm just going to copy paste over here in order to save our time. So this is our function format date time where we are passing our date, and here by default date time options we have added over here. This is for complete date time option, and here only for date option we have given, and here we have given only for time option. If you want to change, you can change it as per your requirement here. And after that, if you see here we have formatted date time. So here we are getting our complete date time value, and here we are getting only date, and from this formatted time we are getting only time, right? So see here we are returning all these three formats in the form of date time, date only, and time only, right? Now let me quickly test this function and show you that how the result will be. So here let me first test our format ID. So here console.log. First I'm going to test our format ID function, and inside this I'm going to pass string, and quickly I'll take the string order ID from here. This is our order ID, so I'm going to copy this and I'll paste it over here, right? And second thing, we are going to test our this format date time function. So what I'll do here, I'll just create a variable const formatted date equal to, we are going to use this our format date time function here, and we will pass our current date time, so new date. Okay, now we will get our date time and date only and time value for this current date. Okay, so now here console.log, and inside this function we are going to log all of our value. So here date time, and we are going to get here formatted date dot date time. Okay, and the second thing we are going to have date only, and here dot date only, and similarly we are going to use for time. Okay, so this would be time only, right? Now let me show you inside our log. Now see here inside our log we can see here this is the last 6 digit. If you see here we have given our order ID, right? And we shorten this for the last 6 digit only. So now see here B0F5CF, right? So here B0F5CF. And if you see for the date time, if you see here we are getting 19th March 2025, and for the date only here we are getting only date, right? And for the time we are just showing the time over here, right? So this is utility function which we are going to use on our order detail page. So now I'm going to remove this code since this was just for the demonstration purpose. And now let's start further building our order page. So this is our order page. Now here, rather putting each and every stuff over here on this order page, I'm going to create another component over here, and I'll call that component from our order page.tsx. Okay, so here I'm going to create another component as order details table.tsx. Okay, and I'm going to make this as a client component since here we would be having our interactivity. So this would be use client, and here I'll give the name of this page as order details table, and here in this component we are going to pass prop as order, and here simply we are going to return for the time being order details page. Okay, and now we are going to use this order detail table inside our page.tsx. Okay, so simply here we are going to replace this text with our order detail table page, order details table component, right? And inside this we are going to pass order. All right, now let's go back to our order detail page. So here our order detail page is very much similar to our place order page. So what we will do here, we are going to copy few things from our place order page. So here we don't need this checkout step, right? Since we have already generated our order. Now we need all these things. Okay, so now let's copy this and we will paste over here, right? And we need to import all those things. So we will import it from here. We will simply copy all these import and we will paste it over here on the top, right? And few things which are not needed that we will remove from here, right? Now here, rather than binding this all these fields like full name, city, country, payment method from these user address and user, we are going to bind each and every detail from our order object. Okay, so first of all what we will do here, we are going to destruct all the fields before using it. So here we are going to destruct all the field as const. Now inside this curly bracket we are going to destruct all the fields. So we are going to take ID, we are going to take shipping address, and we are going to take order items. Also, we would be needing items price, shipping price, tax price, total price, payment method. We have everything, right? We have everything inside our order. Each delivered, each paid, paid at, and last delivered at. Okay. Here we are getting the type error. So let's, for the time being, let's make this order of any type. Okay. And we will simply disable our linting over here, right? And now further, we are going to use our all these fields from order. Now here we are going to give our ID here. So we will use our format ID function. We have our format ID function, right, from libUtil. And inside this, we are going to pass our ID, right? This ID, okay? And further, we are going to use our this shipping address. This would be small shipping address, okay? And now we are going to use this shipping address in order to show our address here, right? So this shipping address dot full name, shipping address dot street address, shipping address dot city, shipping address dot postal code, and shipping address dot country, okay? And here we don't want to show this button, right? Instead of that, we are going to show the badges when the product was delivered. So what we are going to do, just remove this, and here we are going to check if our product is delivered, then we are going to display our delivered at badge, else we are going to display not delivered badge. Okay, so now let's first render our delivered badge. Here we already used badge, right? So we are going to use this badge from our component UI badge. Okay, and we are going to use variant as secondary, and inside this badge we are simply going to write delivered at, and we are going to give the time, right? And for the time, we have already created our utility function format date time. So that function that we are going to use here, format date time, right, from libUtil. And inside this function, we are going to pass our delivered at, right? And we must be having this value. And this function is going to return three value, right? Date time, date only, and time only. So here we are going to show our date time. We need to display our date and time both here, okay? And this is the case when it was delivered, right? And when it is not delivered, then in that case, we are going to use another badge as variant destructive, right? And simply here we are going to write message as not delivered. Okay, now let's save it. Now further we will update our payment method. So here we have our payment method, right? And simply here we have our payment method, and we won't be having this link button. So we will remove this from here, and we are going to use this badge. I'll simply paste it, and here we will write paid at, and here we will use our variable as paid at. Okay, and here we will simply write as not paid. Okay, so our this section is also done. Now we should be having our all the items detail. So now let's bind our item detail as well. So here header is fine. Now we have to bind this body. Here, rather than binding from cart, we are going to bind it from order items, and inside this item, this would be type of order item. Okay, order item, right? Now let me make it bigger. Yep. And now everything is fine here. And here we are getting as this decimal is not assignable to parameter type of string. Okay, so here what we will do, we will simply convert into string. Okay, all right. Now our this section is also done. Now further let's build our right side price. So here we have our items price. I'll remove this card because directly we are getting item price from our order, the shipping price, and this would be our total price. And we don't need this place order form here anymore. Okay, let's save it, and let's see what this error we are getting over here. So This is each paid. Each paid is not being used so far. Let's see why. Here we are checking for delivery, right? And here we should be checking our each paid. Okay. Then on the basis of we are displaying these badges. Okay. Now let's save it. And what error we are getting over here? This button. Okay. We are not using this button anymore over here. Fine. Now let's refresh this. Now here we are getting error as cannot read property of undefined reading map at the line number 89. See this? Okay, right. Since we have our everything inside our order items, right? So we don't have to use this item anymore, right? So now here we are going to use our order items and we will remove these items, right? Because this order items itself an array. Okay. Now hopefully this should be fine. Let's save it and let's see our browser once again. Let's refresh this. Perfect. Right. So see here we are able to see our shipping address and this is not delivered yet, and here payment method is not paid yet, right? And here we are seeing all the order item. And here why we are seeing this place, let me quickly change this. This should be order and order ID. Okay. So here we should be having order, not place, right? Let's refresh this. See now it's been converted into order, right? And if you see here the this last 6 digit we have for this order we are displaying over here. Okay. And now I would like to show you that once this order is completed, once it is delivered and once it is paid, then how it will look like. So in our Prisma, I'll just make the flag for each delivered and each paid as true. So here, let's see what the order ID we have. So this is 9580, right? So this 9580 and I'm going to make this as true. Here each paid I'll make it true and each delivered I'll make it true. Okay. Now let's save it. And here once again, let's refresh this. Now we would be able to see now we are able to see the status at delivered at, this is not the correct date. This is not the correct date and time. Let's see what value we have inside our, right, since we have not updated our this time as well, right? So let's update this time delivered and paid at, right? So this would be time also needs to be updated, and here we will update our paid at as well, right? Now let's save the changes. Now we have our time here. Now let's refresh this. Now we should be see our time correctly. See, now it's delivered on 18th of March 12:40 and paid at 18th of March at 12:40. Okay. So whatever the value will be there inside our updated ad and paid ad will be displayed over here. And further we are going to implement our payment section for PayPal and Stripe. So accordingly we are going to provide a button over here for PayPal and Stripe, whatever the preferred method is being selected by the user for the payment, like we have in our production environment. So see here, since we have selected our PayPal, so now here we are able to see our PayPal button. And similarly, if user selected Stripe, then here we would be seeing our Stripe section for the payment, which we are going to build in our next session. All right. So friends, if you found this tutorial helpful, do me a favor, like this video to support me and my channel, and subscribe my channel if you haven't already done for more technical videos like this. And share this with your fellow developer who might find it useful. And if you really love my work, then consider buying me a coffee to support for more free tutorials. Link is given below in the description. Alright, that's all for the day. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, take care and keep learning.